everyone?
Hey there.
Day 1.0, episode 26.
26. Totally thought I had
right.
14 more seconds based off the clock. There must be a delay. But on time.
We're calling today what to expect when you're expecting.
Listen, dude. ...
See,
Fat, every freaking Friday, man. Listen to me. You see how I snuck that in? Let me hurry up and get the title and get on track so Will doesn't get us off track and run his stupid mouth for 30 minutes. Shameful.
You know me so well, dude.
25 episodes and now you want to
so
change
well.
it up. Listen, man, we're going to be not productive for 30 minutes and then we're going to tell people what the episode is. I want dedicated listeners. I don't want to give good content to people I don't want to listen. So I run my mouth for 30 minutes. And if you're still here,
weed them out.
You're going to get some gold.
Yeah, there you go.
Or now that I've said that, fast forward to minute 29 and start listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
A fun week, packed week. We've been growing a lot in business.
Growing and changing.
Growing
and changing. Not always the same.
No, it's like arguing you. It's Friday, man. I'm surprised they haven't popped out some whiskey yet.
Yeah.
No, growing and changing, and just as we scale our business, we go through our own growing pains and improvise and adapt and overcome to our own situations, and several layers there, right? And good time for this podcast. Obviously, for you guys that are out there that listen, we don't think we're at a level where that's unobtainable. We love where we're at. Successful. We've achieved, a ton of cool things, but we still feel like we're within reach of reality. We're not out of touch like some of your bigger guys that do a lot of podcasts and talking, and not that they're not valuable, super valuable. Sometimes it's just a little hard to listen to when these guys are worth $100 million. Yeah. It's hard to reverse engineer that no matter what they talk about. So we love being relatable, and this one is just super needed. And it's kind of coming at a good time. But the title, you didn't hear Eli say it first.
They didn't, trust me. They didn't.
What to expect when expecting to be successful. You like to play on that? So if you read the title, please act out the ...
If you're a dad out there, you probably get it.
You probably do. And when you're a father, just what to expect when expecting. Like, that book's going to tell you a lot, and then there's just going to be a lot of things that you can't prepare for or that are unknown. But if you fall back on fundamentals, you're going to be fine. And that's something I want to talk about today, as far as we're going to get into a ton. But there's going to be some things about your business specifically, or about yourself specifically, that you just can't prepare for. That's not in a book. That's not on this podcast. But the bottom line is, if you can fall back on fundamentals, improvising and adapting and overcoming certain obstacles are not out of reach. And they shouldn't sway you emotionally to the point where you're locked down. And
these principles apply no matter what phase or stage of growth that you're in, right?
Oh, dude. And this is why it's so fun to be in business. You're a born entrepreneur, so you've reached certain levels and you have a lot to talk about. I come from my military and SOCOM background and law enforcement. This stuff applies at the highest level of things that I've achieved, and being around some giants that are extremely successful in what they've done, with some of my prior careers. It more than applies. Even in professional sports, man, they hit off of a tee. You start hitting off a baseball tee when you're 2. So why are major leaguers still hitting off of
Did they really?
Oh, yeah, man.
I didn't know that.
Well, you're growing.
Yeah.
We're changing. So baseball, right? It's America's pastime.
Okay.
We're going to get there.
Yeah. Touchdowns. Got it.
Yeah. Touchdowns. Yeah. Cool. But there's a lot of basic fundamentals that they do fall back on that, it's just a part of their process, man. It's muscle memory. It's repetition. It's being brilliant at the basics, and it's needed. Being behind a Scout sniper rifle, it's not about shooting 1,000 rounds a day, man. It's about sight alignment and sight picture and putting yourself in uncomfortable positions and doing that when the elements are not so fun and it's raining and it's hot or it's cold, and just torching yourself through that to make sure that mentally you're stable and you can overcome those things. And a lot of it, again, falls back on those fundamentals, not how many rounds did I shoot down range today. It's how well I've prepared to take that shot if that shot's needed. But there's a lot of other stuff that you do in conjunction with that, and this applies to a lot. I'm giving a couple of examples to what I can speak to, but this applies to a ton of things. But yes, no matter how high or how successful you get, you still see a lot of your top successors applying fundamentals. And understand, and this is kind of cliche now, but it's still very valid. Don't forget what got you there. A lot of times when people become successful, even at a moderate level, they start getting fancy. They start changing up the recipe to what got them there. Understand the fundamentals and reminding yourself and being brilliant at those basics. That's what's getting you there in the first place. Don't necessarily overthink it. You can refine and enhance and scale some things, but some of those fundamentals, all the way down to a morning ritual. Okay, I got to say nice things in the mirror to myself. I got to write something nice in lipstick. I got to meditate.
These are all hypotheticals, right?
Well, some people do those. And look, man,
yeah.
I'm not against them. I don't do that stuff, but I'm not saying that stuff doesn't work. I'm
going
saying
to take that clip, though, and we're going to make that like Will's morning ritual. Right? He's going to have those three things
if
on
you're
it.
out there listening, I need a new podcast host. Mine, unfortunately, passed away.
Taking applications.
Death unknown.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Keep these cameras rolling. This feels like an episode of Saw all of a sudden. Like these cameras on
might
me and
be.
shit.
It's so funny when he thinks I'm playing fat.
Yeah,
Just because
no.
I wear a smile, he thinks I'm kidding.
Trust me, I know you.
I'll tell you this much, Fab. He dies, his ass is dying on a Friday.
That's true.
Because he gets like this, and I got to get his ass.
That's true.
But no, man, like all joking aside, right? Like regardless of what you got to do to pep yourself up or prepare, understand that a lot of those things start becoming a part of your foundation, and you should allow yourself to keep that pattern and don't necessarily get too fancy. But with that being said, man, I know you have a lot to say on this. We've been talking to our team a lot, so I'm going to let you kind of take over and do your thing. But hopefully that gave some context just in regards to what we want to talk about.
Yeah, and today's really about talking about the realities of just what goes behind running a business and just all the problems that come with it. And you're never really overcoming those problems. You're finding solutions, but then you've got new problems to bigger problems. And it's just, shit gets crazy. And it's like, if you don't get comfortable being in the suck and being just dealing with stress and dealing with fires, like if you don't get comfortable doing that stuff, just get out of entrepreneurship, because it's going to be a long, long, long road for you, because the reality is what it is, and it's really hard. So part of today, what I want to talk about, in addition to fundamentals, are kind of talk about our bloopers. So instead of like the highlight reels like you see on social media all the time, let's have a blooper reel. And that's part of documenting, and how much documenting we do, because someday we are going to put together a legit blooper reel of all the stupid shit that we said and some of the mistakes that we made over time, because you're always changing. And, I thought I had it figured out when I was 23, then at 26, then at 28. Now I'm 33, and I'm like, God damn, I never have it figured out. Now I'm smart enough to just know that I don't have it figured out, but I'm always trying to figure it out so I can at least talk to what's true to me at the moment, right?
100%. And I always like getting specific, So I guess the best example is you and I. We can we don't have to recap the entire year, but we can use, I guess, keeping names out of it or whatever's needed, just recapping some of the growing pains. And let's talk about some of the reality behind how much work got put into it. Because I think one of the realities that I really do try to tell people is how much work it takes. And as you're working, like it's like you still have to be aware of an ebb and flow, and you still got to know like if something's working or not working, and should I adjust fire, and when do I adjust fire? Am I pulling the trigger too soon on something? Should I be doing it longer? And all these things are great questions, and it all comes down to like your work ethic and how well you're applying some effort at something. And for you and I, we love a year. I don't know if I forced that on you. I love a year time because I know, just like you do in like your preps for your shows, when someone says, yeah, I got a 16-week prep, something that you and I have spoken about, is you're like, dude, I prepped for 6 months. And I'm like, why? What do you mean? And you're like, well, I'm going to be making mistakes, and I'm going to miss a meal. I'm going to not cook right and miss my macros. I'm going to not set my alarm on accident. And I'm going to be working through kinks. When I hit that week 16, it needs to be 16 weeks of productivity. Like, not 16 weeks in the first 4 or 5 or a shit show because I'm figuring myself out.
Yeah.
In reality, you end up only having half of that as far as being productive.
And it's mindset too. Like, even if you are just following the program and you're remembering all the shit, you're still the cravings, and then like the cave. So it's like, if I'm going to cave at all, I want it to be while I'm not even prepping. So I would rather have 27 days of perfect diet, competition prep, sucky food, and then, shit, hey, I caved on this day, but hey, that's why I do this. Because you do a couple caves, you're like, all right, no more of that.
And understanding your body and what's working, what's
and then
not
by the time
working.
you're there, man, you're 100% for the whole prep time.
Right. So, like with you and I, and I'm definitely a fan of like being able to just pick 1 or 2, processes within a business and then working that. Like, there's only so many variables that you can throw. And I understand people say, hey, keep a lot of balls in the air. Like, I'm okay with that. I agree with that. But I think we should get more specific, as in, I don't mind keeping a lot of real estate balls in the air. Like maybe I've got some commercial and we've got residential going on, and we got a real estate event and a family appreciation event. And a podcast thing on a Saturday and an open house the following weekend. And then out of all of those things, some things might go to the wayside. So I think when people talk about like having a lot of balls in the air, a lot of spinning plates, whatever analogy you want to use, I don't think we ever go into enough detail about that. Because what I don't want is I'm a mechanic and a realtor and a, card dealer and a podcaster and a this and oh no, I got a lot of balls in the air. Like
No.
but none of them fall within the same scope. So you're getting pulled in so many different directions. At least if you and I have a lot of balls in the air when it comes to real estate, we've got our team and we've got our own personal deals and we've got, our networking group that we own. We have a lot of balls in the air, but it's within the scope of real estate and within the business that we're good at, which allows us to still move forward. And if some of those balls fall, or we choose to let them fall based off of production or just energy out, and is the juice for it to squeeze, it's all within that scope so we can speak to it. It's really hard, man, to be several different things in several different realms that just don't have any relation to one another, but then expecting to like have enough time in those realms to see what sticks. At least for us, with all these balls in the air, they're all still within real estate. So the overall effort toward our goals in real estate, it's there. There's just a lot of balls in the air within that scope. So I think that's just some advice I'd love to give people.
That's tip number one.
Yeah, tip number one is just have some context with balls in the air per se.
And find out, let's say that you have a business or whatever. Let's say you're a contractor or a flooring guy and you have your business and it's successful, but you're at a point to where you're looking to scale it. That's where, have the conversations with us, have conversations with people around you, look at what other people in the industry are doing, because if you just have that one ball and you're like, I just don't know what other balls I can do, talk to somebody, get some ideas, listen to podcasts, start diving into entrepreneurship, because that's where I got with my personal training. I had been personal training for so long and I had checked all the boxes I could check with being a personal trainer, still wasn't happy with where I was at. And I was like, that's when I listened to my first ever podcast, Entrepreneur on Fire, and then just started listening. I didn't know what I was listening for, but I knew that I was going to come across something. And then that led to investing, which led to real estate, which led to where I am now.
And it's a huge help, right? And then you got guys like me. Like when we first met, you're like, hey, you read this book? No.
Nope.
Have you read that book?
Nope.
Really? Because you're saying a lot of things that sound like that.
Yeah.
Who's that guy? I don't know. But you've been resourceful because you've been a born entrepreneur. I'm a different side. I'm not as entrepreneur as you. I did a lot of shit in life.
Experience.
That built a lot of tools on my tool belt that allowed me to go, okay, who am I? And how does it apply to real estate? And I'll tell you what, whether it's real estate or combat, or whatever we're talking about, I know it sounds super silly, okay, but a lot of fundamentals and a lot of way you reverse engineer things and a lot of way you follow through with the process, a lot of the ways where you find ways to be committed, a lot of ways of how you assess a battlefield versus a business battlefield. Like there's a lot of fundamentals, man, that correlate, which I think directly is why we become successful. So you've been resourceful as far as finding some of those answers and then growing into that. I was growing in directions that had nothing to do with entrepreneurship that I had to just figure out how to apply once I got here, if that makes sense. So two different forms. And this is why I like, when you and I own a company together, as we come from different perspectives and just different, man. And you have your strengths and I have mine.
And that goes down to like part of the shit that we train and we talk to our team about is, hey guys, everything works. Like there's not, like we're not here sitting here saying that this is the way to do it and other ways don't work. Everything works.
Let's be real. Tim Tebow won a playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? You have no context to that. I know.
Minus Tebow. I like that dude.
Great guy. Great person, right? But if we're talking quarterback, no. Like, it just, look, man, you're not hitting a guy in the flat, and there's a lot of things that you're missing, and cool. Not saying I'm not a Tebow fan. The guy won some games for Denver and then ended up winning a playoff game. And it's like the amount of consistency and effort he gave his craft, regardless of whether he had enough finesse or just natural ability to be a quarterback, still won some games in the playoffs. So again, when you say like, hey, everything works. Yeah, to an extent. Like you might not be a Hall of Famer. Okay, like there's going to be some talent and just some things that are in there if you're a Hall of Fame entrepreneur, if you're a Hall of Fame football player. However, Tim Tebow got himself to a professional level quarterback and won playoff games. And he's not a quarterback, in my opinion. If you're listening, I'm not beating him up. So it does give some validity to, hey guys, everything works. It's going to come down to like how much you apply consistency and fundamentals and how well you're able to assess your battlefield and just move in different directions as it's needed. But the bottom line, the number one thing we've seen in this past year from owning our networking group and our team is accountability, consistency, because a lot of what we see is like, why don't like they're not sure on how to adapt. They don't see things as clearly as we see things. Well, doing one open house isn't going to get you there. Okay, like it's not giving you enough data, and you're not good enough. And then teaching classes. We were talking to an agent, today, and she had a phenomenal class for investors and different stuff. And I said, hey, after doing that class, I bet doing a buyer presentation for a married couple is like no sweat now. It's like, yeah, now I have perspective at scale of, how much further my communication levels can go by just putting myself on a stage.
Right.
And how well that correlates back down at this scale where it's personable with clients and just how well you're working it. But if you're not diving into your craft, you're not going to be able to assess your battlefield, right? Like you can't assess your battlefield from an office.
So the second tip here that we're getting to is go out and do some shit. Get some direction.
Well, that was simple, Eli.
Go out and start doing things. Go out and start doing things. But here's the trick is you have to do a lot of things, do them right, do them consistently, and over time.
So, for example, right, because I love what we're saying, but I can always, people say like, okay, but like what? Right? So let's be specific. Let's use me. I decided to do real estate, right? Cool. You guys heard my pantry story and all that motivational shit. Cool. Once I'm licensed, I get into real estate. I'm not going to disclose any companies because I'm not trying to shit on anyone. Because I'm not saying they're bad companies. This is just my experience going through, but being the entrepreneur and being resourceful and doing what I have to do. So I go to a company. I'm there less than a week. It's the first company I decided to work for. And I'm not looking for a business partner. I'm just like, okay, I decided to do real estate. I'm licensed. Great. Good to go. Where do I fit in? Do I fit in? Where do I fit in? How do I fit in? There's different styles and different approaches to real estate. Let me figure this out. But I know who I am for the most part. So I go to this company and I get a, managing broker like, cool. We're happy to have you. Yeah, I know you're happy to have everyone because we all pay to be here. I get it. My shit stinks. We start doing our onboarding.
Okay.
That's not what they call it, but we're going to call it that for
training.
the sake of the conversation.
Yeah.
Training. And the training lady that's there, she's training us on the back end for the company. Hey, here's where you put all your leads and their phone numbers, and here's how you do follow up. And she doesn't have a clue on the system. Now, she wasn't a substitute trainer. She wasn't called in last minute to train on something. She was the training lady for that office. And she's like, I'm sorry, guys. I actually use a different back end than this one that my company uses. Bear with me. I'm learning it as we go.
God.
Now, here's the deal. A lot of agents use different back ends because they have a preference. Not everyone uses their companies. Cool. But you're the training agent for this office. Like, you get paid and you get credit to help agents procure deals and you get money for it. I don't care if you use that back end or not. You're not prepared. You should know this back end, whether you use it or not, because you're the instructor for it. And then as people become more advanced or want differences, maybe you show them what you use down the road. Cool, but you should still know what you instruct. So I didn't know real estate. I didn't know a lot of different things, but that piece of me, taking a tool of just what I had done in my past and how prepared I was as an instructor in the Marine Corps, right? And how prepared I had to be to like prepare Marines for combat. And if I wasn't, how fucked I was by every other instructor. They're going to take me out back and murder me, right? Like, okay, I don't know real estate. I don't know certain things, but like, that's where like what I do know, I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't know real estate, but I know that. And she's not prepared and she's disorganized. She's not my leader. I bounced. I bounced quick.
Real quick.
Yep.
Start listening to things like this, guys, because one thing that's unique about Will that I see is he is so observant and really looks just layers deeper than what you see on the surface. So a little situation like that where us general public, we're sitting there. She makes that joke about not understanding the CRM. We're like, whatever. We don't give a fuck. We move on, right? However,
most people do.
Those things matter, dude.
And especially when we're new. Especially when we're new, we're just, when someone's a leader, quote, and I'm using these quotes. If you're listening to the podcast and you're not watching us on YouTube or Facebook, I'm using my quote fingers because I'm being fucking sarcastic. When we look at leaders or mentors, in an industry, because we're new, we automatically default to just respecting that person and like, thank you so much for the help. Yes, sir. No, sir. When you could just be just a garbage can on fire.
Yeah.
You're just a hot mess. Right? Like it was, so I leave. I'm like, hey, like that is not good leadership. You're not like, I already know, like I'm going to have some friction with you. And if you're not prepared for a class that's been scheduled and this isn't the first one you've taught, so not only have you not prepared yourself to teach this, you've been getting away with it. Because, dude, when I did my interview, when I first went there and I was going through my interview and I met this lady, dude, she had been there for 2 years. Okay? And she was the training lady for almost the majority of the time that she had been there. Okay? So here's what that tells me. Not only have you just made a conscious decision to not know your company's product, other people around you, like the managing broker, the training broker, all these other people that are quote unquote your leadership, they have so little accountability of what you're teaching. They've allowed you to get away with that.
Supporting you.
You're not even running through your training to your leaders. Like, hey, so I know you're doing onboarding. Like, let's go through that. Hey, how are you prepping agents? Hey, our office sucks. By the way, that was the worst office in Colorado for that company. 4th lowest in the nation. No shit. Right. And by the way, I didn't find that out until a week ago. We were talking to some guys from there. They're revamping. Awesome. Seem like nice guys. But man, I read that so quick because, and again, it's like, hey, not only are you okay to make that conscious decision, that's one thing, but this lady's leadership has allowed her to do that, which means, you have no accountability to anyone.
Yeah.
We're accountable to you and you're full of shit, but you're accountable to no one. I'm out of here. I pulled the plug.
So you were there for a week.
Maybe.
Now, what kept you from saying, I've only been here a week. I just transferred my license. I just paid the $50 or whatever to do that.
Understanding the difference between needing a process to develop and character flaws. For this situation specifically, there's a difference between I'm new to real estate. I'm new to an office. Maybe these people aren't quite my personality. Maybe they have a little bit of a different approach to training. But hey, allow a process. You're new to an industry, so allow a process to unfold. That's one thing. Assessing her, character flaw. You're a terrible leader. You're making a conscious decision to be unprepared with your company's product, and your leadership has so little accountability to you, they're letting you get away with it. Character flaw. In her, and fundamental flaw. This is a broken back for that office. I don't need any more time there. Okay, you're terminal. So there's a difference between just understanding a process and getting comfortable learning an industry, learning from people that aren't necessarily like you. I don't need people to teach me that are like me. Believe it or not, like I learn from a lot of different personalities. I respect your preparedness. So again, falling back on what I know. I don't know real estate, but I know preparedness. I do know leadership because I've been one for the majority of my life. So I do know what to expect when diving into a process or a new industry. There's still fundamentals there of how to execute and what to expect from leadership that lets you know whether you're at least on the right track or not. And she could completely be not my style. But if she's prepared, she's consistent, she's engaging, she's able to answer questions, I'm going to stay. I don't need her to be like me. I need content. But I knew like, hey, this is a broken back.
Well, that's where it's going to sound like we're going to contradict ourselves sometimes because we're going to tell you to try a lot of things. We're going to tell you to pick some things and stick to it and be consistent with it over time. However, something like that, you guys also need to understand when something is just not right and you need to get the F out ASAP.
Does it right? So when it comes to, so if you look at it, my process of not giving up on real estate, I didn't pull the plug on real estate. I didn't give up on real estate. No. I'm pulling the plug on this lady's unpreparedness. And I'm like, look, but I'm not blaming her. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm not staying at that office. Well, why don't you stay at that office and just maybe talk to some people around there? Because the people that are leaders around there are letting her get away with it because they've never watched one of her classes. If they watched one class of hers, they'd realize she has no idea what their back end is. Problem. So why would I talk to anyone else at that office when they're the ones allowing her to get away with that? No, it's terminal. But again, I'm pulling the plug on that, but not real estate. Okay. So I'm resourceful. So I start making a couple of different phone calls. I talked to a buddy of mine who's pretty successful in real estate, and he's like, hey, try this place out. You're probably going to leave in 6 months because their business model doesn't fit you. And this buddy of mine had known me for a while. He knew the fitness company I helped grow. He had some more context on who I was as far as military, and he had seen me do things through fitness. He's like, hey, you're not going to stay here. Call me when you're done. Because I asked him, I go, hey, man, is there anything you can spin me up on? is there anything I can get from you on just how you approach business and just give me some pointers? He's like, yeah, but here's the deal. It's more in depth than that. And he's like, dude, I'm in the heart of my business right now, and I just have no time to train anyone.
So this is you being resourceful.
Yeah, just making phone calls and being resourceful and finding people that are good at it. And my buddy, awesome guy, I'm still buddies with him to this day. I get mad that he said he didn't have time for me. He's like, look, here's where I'm at. And I'm 2 years in, and I'm still figuring out for myself, and I'm super busy. I'm kind of getting some momentum. But honestly, man, you're just going to be following me around. Yeah. It's not going to help you.
Yep.
But here's where I started, and this gentleman has a great onboarding. I think you should go there. I just don't think the model's for you. Okay. Talk to that guy, and I'm not saying the model's for me or not for me. It is or not. I don't know. But I'm going to go. So I had a great onboarding there. Not bad. The business model doesn't fit me because you can't be an owner there. You know, like the entire broker, just kind of like a team. So cool model. Just a model where like guys like me.
It's almost more employee based. Like you're more of an employee there versus independent.
You're calling a ton of leads. You're not really procuring any of your own business. You're not building a book of business. You're calling a ton of leads, and you're kind of just like a worker that happens to be 1099 for this, but that, you know, all good. And it's not a negative model. I don't want to get into that. It just wasn't for me because I couldn't be an owner there. There's a glass ceiling, but the onboarding wasn't bad. It was solid. He actually went over, hey, when you have a buyer and then they decide to like a house and you want to submit an offer, you're going to call the listing agent. Here's how that looks. And then here's what usually listing agents say to you. And they're idiots. Here, you know, hey, don't be afraid of them. The average realtor does 5 deals a year. Here's the bullshit they're going to tell you on the phone that sounds threatening or sounds good. Here's how to overcome it.
Yep.
Oh, you're actually giving us knowledge. He had a great onboarding, but then I just outgrew that model. All good. And then you know, I did some deals, and then I make a phone call to you. Hey, man, you know, I think I'm on to some things. And by the way, guys, Eli gave me his time prior to me even being licensed. I was just thinking about it. I want to know about the industry. I saw you on Facebook. We've had mutual friends through fitness. You seem like a consistent professional guy.
Same.
I hit you up, and we met at Panera Bread. I wasn't even licensed yet.
And real quick, again, that's one of the things about doing video, guys, that we're so big on. And this is why we talk so much about video to our team and anyone who's building a business. I had seen Will's videos from Fit Republic or from the fitness company.
That's fine.
I had seen his videos on there, and I knew the type of person that he was, and I'm like, you hear him talk, and you're like, yeah, this dude knows his shit. My God, you know. And then he had seen some of my stupid real estate videos that were not as good until we started doing.
Oh, dude, they were great.
But it was generic stuff. But hey, I'm just doing shit, right? I know video's a thing. I'm taking action. It doesn't need to be
you
perfect.
were consistent enough where you were top of mind.
Yeah,
and you were professional enough to where I knew, like you know. You were doing a good thing. And that's how we met. You gave me your time before I was even licensed, and I came back to you after a couple of months and said, hey, man, I think I'm good at this. Like I've slammed a handful of deals in the first 2 months, and I'm at a place where I've learned a ton, but I think I can do it better for myself. Not that their model doesn't work. They've got a good model. I just think I can, for myself personally, I can do it better. So you and I started talking, and you know, joined your team that you owned prior to me, joined that team, and then you and I very rapidly just partnered up, and we've been conquering ever since. But you know, so the biggest thing I want to get off on this topic right now, or you know, before we move on, is just how to be resourceful. Understanding like being resourceful and being responsible for your business is solely on you. It is on no one else. So whether you're a realtor or anything else, understanding when you dive into an industry, it's on you to be resourceful. It's on you to realize if someone has a character flaw, and they're like, for example, another character flaw. So I'm giving a character flaw of her and her lack of training, but then a fundamental flaw for that office. Fundamentally, if that's acceptable, you guys are wrong. So I don't need to be here any longer. This is not you're just not my personality. Yep. This is not like, well, you know, I need more modern training. No, you don't know shit when you're first getting into it. You don't know what you need or don't need. But what I do need is consistency and professionalism and preparedness. A lot of these fundamentals you still need to keep in your mind, and, you know, put weight behind that. Just because we're new, and I've seen it in real estate. When someone's new, they're always like, yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, sir. Oh, thank you, ma'am, for your help. And we automatically just like kiss ass to mentors or leaders per se in our industry by default because they're a mentor or leader per se, and we're assuming like that. We just give them benefit of doubt that they know what they're talking about. No, question everyone and question everything.
Yeah, you should.
And I don't mean negatively. I'm not saying question people and start looking through your wife's phone or your husband's phone. I'm not saying that. It's from a good place. Because a lot of times when you question people, you're going to realize that their motive is genuine or their behavior is genuine. However, question people's behavior, question people's preparedness. And those little things are a huge deal in the success of your business. Because what if I don't pay attention to that and I'm still at that office because I don't know any better and they recruited me and I had a friend that was there, and little did I know until a week ago, that was the 4th worst office for that company in the nation.
Dude.
And by far the worst in Colorado.
Yeah.
That was a time bomb. Okay. Like, but if I just stay there and I don't recognize patterns, how many more fundamental flaws am I going to go through with that company before I'm 6 months into business and I got no deals because I surrounded myself? And then here's the deal. You see those flaws, but you don't make any correction because you're expecting people to build a business for you, or you're expecting them to just give you everything versus putting the responsibility of your business on your own back and understanding the decisions you make or choose not to make are your fault. So being resourceful and understanding, yes, there's a time to give a process and allow something to evolve. And that's more so with your actions.
So that's my next one. So I want to talk about being resourceful real quick. So I have step 1, observe, right? Sometimes you do need to take just a little step
What you
back.
have is my pen.
Observe.
So you were not prepared
Let's
today.
not get on the whole pen.
God damn it.
Step 2, being
my gift.
resourceful. So you've observed, you're like, all right, I'm in this market. I want to scale my business, or I'm in some new industry. Let me see who's doing it right. Let me talk to people. That's where it comes into being resourceful. Now,
So 1 was observe.
Yep, observe, and then resource. So resourcing, guys, it's 2019. We have social media. We have Google. You could literally text Damon John right now, Fubu, or DM him. It's going to his DM. He may not respond. He may not read it right away, but you could literally access anybody through DM. Now, maybe you start locally like Will did. Hey, who have I seen that's kind of doing it right? Who do I see that I kind of vibe with? Any successful person, the most successful people, are more than happy to sit down, give you some time, and tell you how they did it.
Very true. So not only did you sit down and give me your time even prior to me being licensed, I also want to make like an observation that I had. Like, okay, so why Eli? Was there not other good guys? You just mentioned your friend that, hey, didn't really have time to train you, but I'm sure he had time to sit down with you, right? Yeah. But Eli was also like heavy in the fitness industry. So what I'm thinking, right, and I don't know until I know, right? He could have just been a big drug head and had a bad habit called working out. There's those fucking people too, right? But my assumption through looking at his social media and seeing his family and looking at how he carried himself, and he was big in the fitness world, I felt like he had some fundamentals and some values that he had about himself that I also had with myself. So I felt like, hey, I bet I relate to that guy a lot because we share some commonalities, and even though we're different personalities, values we have on how we take care of ourselves are similar, which means, hey, I bet that bleeds into business. So it's not like talking to Eli was a shot in the dark and, well, he was top of mind and had videos and he's cute, talk to him. Yes. Also, I was paying attention to who I thought he was as a person, and I felt like, again, we had values that were in common where I want that guy's perspective, because that guy being fit, when we talk about real estate, if it's work, he's going to say it, period. And that's what also gravitated me back to you after I went and learned what I had to learn coming back. And at that point, you didn't have a team. You weren't really doing that quite yet. So when I gravitated back to you, it was pretty new, for you, and that created an opportunity for me to get back around you and then grow together. But again, guys, I cannot stress enough on how successful entrepreneurs, they are resourceful.
Yes.
And when I mean resourceful, I don't mean delegation of just getting everyone to do your shit for you. That comes later when you're scaling your business and you get a social media guy, or like how we have Fat do a lot of our video content and he's doing our podcast. Yes, at some point you need help scaling. But that doesn't mean that I just try to get everyone to like do my business for me. There's that in real estate. There's companies that have a borderline multi-level marketing business model where as long as you're recruiting a ton of agents to work for that company, you make a little bit of money. You don't even have to do deals. You just have to talk good about the company.
Not even borderline. It's straight up MLM.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice.
Straight up MLM.
But it is so, and we've actually heard that from people that work at those companies. Like, oh no, I haven't done a deal in a couple of years. I'm focused on recruiting now. No, you're lazy and you haven't done a deal in years. You know how different the market is in Denver after 3 years? You know how different it is? How are you going to be a leader if you can't speak to it? So again, being resourceful and understanding whether someone's a different personality or not, but they're consistent and they're proficient and they're professional and they're prepared. Take all you can from them.
And we're different in the way that we're you like resourcing people. You're like, hey, this guy's done this for 20 years. I'm just going to go talk to that guy and figure it out.
Maybe.
And you're more resourceful with the people. For me, I'm like the guy going about it the not smart way of Googling. I literally Googled how to be rich. But then you start reading about rich people, and then I'm like, all these rich people, like a lot of them like sold real estate or sold a house that they had, or they have real estate. This seems to be a common thread amongst all these super rich people. Maybe real estate's a thing I should look into.
And you're still like that. We're looking at, we're building our own software and our own real estate training. We're doing some cool stuff, and you're very analytical and back end, and you're good at looking online and figuring out what you think a good system is or not. You're good at just going through reviews and things, which is awesome. And I'm really good with people.
Yes.
And I resource people. I build relationships. And
I'm the guy. We're looking at we're making some connections to talk on some other podcasts right now. And I'm the type I'll go and individually research and message 20 different podcast people who I think would be a good thing on.
Yep.
He makes a fucking phone call and here's 8. Talk to them about
8.
you. They'd love to have you. And I'm
2
like,
phone calls.
Classic.
Yeah,
so classic.
But it's not that you're going about it the wrong way, because you're going to get some things that maybe I can't. But where you're even better is like when we're looking at building our real estate training. You've done well at resourcing different sites and different companies that help enhance that and help funnel it for you. And you're talking to those guys. And then I'm really good at maximizing the relationships that we've built and doing the best that I can to say, hey, was I good on that relationship? And just asking, hey, do you guys mind helping us scale? Hey, we're at a place where we feel like we need that and we crave that and we want that. And because we've built respectable relationships and they're proud of us and we've done good by them, they help us out. So I'm more of like that brain. But either way, again, it's great because it's 2 different dialects here that really enhance a company. And again, it gives you guys that are listening 2 different perspectives on different ways to be resourceful. But the bottom line is, like on the analytical side, you're going to come across some systems that maybe like had a good marketing pitch and this and that, but then you're going to realize super quick there's just some options they don't have for you that's detrimental. Yep. You don't necessarily need to stay any longer. And then there's some that are just almost overwhelming for you that you just haven't quite learned. Stay in it, learn it, allow a process to happen. And again, it's the same thing with people, whether, and I'm not big on people that have been around 30 years because I'm not sure if they can speak to me.
It's true.
Right, because of just the way marketing is done now and the way relationships are built, there's just some differences too. I can always take something away from experience.
You're really good on vibes too.
Yeah,
you're more hippie than you think you are, but he's real good on vibes. Like just like seeing a person or a personality, and he just gets a vibe, and it's good or it's bad. And if it's bad, cool, move on. If it's good, hey, let's latch onto this.
And that's also something that when you talk about being resourceful, is also the coachability aspect. I'm super coachable unless I don't respect you. If you're a fat gym coach, a fat gym teacher, I can't do it. And you could be a super, super smart person with a ton of knowledge. But if for some reason I get a weird vibe or I get a feeling like you got a chip on your shoulder toward me or I'm just not your kind of people, I know like my learning is limited because we just don't have that connection. And then guess what? Okay. Because my business is solely on my own back.
Yeah, dude.
Right? So I think we've kind of like got the point across as far as, and I'm going to let you get back to your bullet points here. So recapping of observing and being resourceful, just understanding like the difference between being resourceful and just not waiting for people to build your business for you.
There's a difference between being resourceful and if you're procrastinating.
Being resourceful and procrastinating, you're right. And if you're somewhere and you're complaining or you don't like what they teach, but you're just there like, hey, here's what's so cool, okay? You can leave, right? Like, understand, like, don't wait for people to build your business. Or if people are toxic, why are you there? Just like relationships.
Leave.
Well, hey, why aren't you left? Well, you don't get it, Will. My CDs are in his truck, right? Like, whoever comedian said that before. It's like, we find the shittiest reasons, to stay. So, again, understand. And here's the other thing. Well, he cusses. Or, well, he kind of got in my ass. Like, this is where it comes to being coachable. If someone like doesn't have a good vibe with me, or I don't have a good vibe with them, and it's not like the greatest learning environment, please understand, and I want to make this super clear. It never comes from an egotistical standpoint. It comes from, I don't really know why we don't have a good connection. I just realized that we don't. And I'm only going to get so much from you because for whatever reason, I'm rubbing you the wrong way. But it's not, he's mean to me. Well, he tells me to get up early. Well, he gets in my ass when I need it. Well, he tells me things I need to hear, not I want to hear. This is where you need to understand being coachable. Okay, like if you're choosing to grab information from someone, and we've heard, we've heard
someone's time,
dude. We've heard Jocko talk about that. We've heard this is a big topic. Not to bite off of Jocko, I've got plenty of my own experiences as a leader. There's going to be times, right? Like I had a situation the other day where like I'm okay to help someone, and they're not even on the team. They're just a young hustler that wants help. I'm all for it. they brought their emotions into our office, didn't they? I remember you left. I literally, you took a call, and then you went to something that our team was doing, and I put that time aside for that person that's not even on our team.
But that's who you are.
That's who I am. Look, if you're a young hustler, if you want to work at it, I'm going to pay it forward. I want you to win. But what you're not going to do is come into my office when you're not at your own team's office and then tell me how it is. You're there to get information from me. You're there to learn. And obviously, wherever you're at, you're not comfortable because you're not learning.
And you guys weren't meeting up to have drinks and hang out and, and bitch. Like,
this was like, hey, you're in a situation and you're kind of freaking out. We need to game plan this. Okay,
Yes.
so let's game plan it. And the vibe I got was you wanted to come vent. You wanted to come be mad about your situation and vent. And I wasn't emotionally connected to it. I was ready to go for helping you game plan. And then that person starts telling me, no, it's like this. No, it's like this. And I'm like, listen, that's not how it is. And here's the deal. I don't need this. Okay. Like I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. But if you want to learn, like you got to listen. Okay. Like stop telling me whatever your office told you. Stop regurgitating that to me. You're here to learn from me. And I'm doing my best to give you what I can. And it was calm. But then after a couple of times and it's all good. I understand it, right? Like I understand humans. You brought your emotions into the office. So then you're giving an emotional response to every single thing. And then as I'm giving you advice you need that might be hard to hear, or there's a lot of work behind it and you're just too emotional to really swallow it at that point because you're kind of freaking out. By nature, you then start telling me how it's not, you start telling me how it is. Rebuttals and excuses. And then I elevate myself a little bit to get your attention because you're super emotional about yourself right now. So then I elevate my level of voice about what it is right now. So if you guys can hear me louder, that was deliberate. So now I'm talking like this. Hey, I don't need this. This isn't for me. This is for you. My business partner's on a conference call without me. He's going to a class without me. I'm giving you time to help you learn. This is not for me. So we're either going to fucking learn and we're going to apply this and you're going to get out of this rut or you're going to fail. But business doesn't care. This is exactly how I'm talking.
Yeah.
And then I get told, well, can you tone it down? No.
I want your time, coach. I want your advice, coach, but do it in the way that I think I want it.
And understand that you brought it to that level. You didn't come in open and willing to learn. You didn't come in and check your ego at the door. You didn't come in and check your emotions at the door and prepare yourself mentally to absorb content. You came in super emotional. You then wanted to vent versus actually getting something to hear. You just weren't mentally prepared to take more on. You got to, like, when you're going to take someone's time, you need to learn how to compartmentalize. Put your emotions and put anything else, any other distractions that are affecting you, they got to go away.
Even if you don't agree with the shit that they're saying, if you're taking their time.
Well, and you're not at a point where you can disagree.
No, you shut up.
Like you haven't done any deals. You haven't done anything, and you're freaking out because where you chose to go isn't helping you.
Yeah.
You don't know whether you should disagree with me or not. What you should be is an open book.
Yeah.
What you should be is a sponge, just willing to take everything. So the level of tone didn't get to what I'm speaking at right now deliberately. Didn't get to this until you started telling me how it is and raising your own voice a little and having a super attitude. Attitude not toward me, toward the situation. However, I'm not your punching bag. Yeah. And this is where people's got to start learning. Like there's a difference between broken fundamentals and leaving somewhere because their system's broke, and people actually willing to help you that are going to tell you what you need to hear. And then, well, can you tone it down? Understand, like, I had to get to this level just to get your attention. And now that I've got your attention and you're super aware that you came in here inappropriate, you're still trying to grab some bit of control. Well, can you tone it down? Well, do you have to use a cuss word? Yeah, I do. Get out. And that's what happened. Get out. Okay? And then we talk a little bit later. Hey, I'm super sorry. Super sorry. I didn't mean to come across like that.
She was saying that to you.
Yeah, and I get it. Cool. And here, man, it's not that I don't forgive. Of course, I understood the second you walked in what you were doing. I understand like your situation. Like, here's what you can't replace: experience. And I don't mean experience in real estate. Experience in life and how to manage emotions. Like, I know why you're freaking out. I know why you're not managing your emotions because you're not used to it, and you need to get more experience and just more reps and more trigger time. I understood what was going on the second she walked in. That's exactly what she needed. Get out. Like, you're not gonna, like, what you're doing is abusing relationships because you're emotional. And what you need to learn is that being that emotional about anything will get you nowhere in business. You're going to get chewed up and spit out. Your clients have no time for it. Your clients don't deserve that. Any situation you're going through, you got to learn how to manage it. And this one that you're not managing right now you're learning a lesson.
Lock that shit down. And that's where it's like, and man, I think I got that from my mom, dude. If my mom was yelling at us about something, disciplining us, like really, like they were really strict as parents, equal love and all that stuff. So lots of love, lots of rigidity, right? But it's at guidelines in place. And if I was talking to my mom and she's yelling at me or something or being a mom, and if my voice started going like that, even that little bit, dude, she was on it. Don't you raise your... And I'm just like, so you get used to not even the littlest inflection, not rolling your eyes, not doing the whole like fist clinchy thing, you know, like just sit there and shut up. Mom's yelling at you, all good.
Yeah, and you learn that at a young age, and maybe you don't know exactly why you're doing it other than just not making mom mad. But the later lesson is just understanding how to just manage your emotions, you know. And here's the thing, too. You got to have some self-awareness. Because if that situation I had the other day went with a phone call of, hey, I'm kind of wanting to drive off a cliff. Can I vent? Yeah.
Different.
Hey, listen, I got a conference call and I got a meeting. I'm free after 7 p.m. Cool. Can I meet you at the office? Yeah. And then if you want to come into my office because you're super emotional and you're not in a place where you can learn yet, you want to come vent, well, guess what I am now? I'm just there to let you vent. But when you're asking for help and you're freaking out over your business and you're like, hey, life support, I need to get going. I need to learn how to procure business. I need to this, I need to that. Guess what mode I'm in? I'm in that mode to teach you.
Solution mode.
I'm in that mode of like, hey, we're no longer going to just stay emotionally attached to this, because the more you keep freaking out, just like that swimming analogy I always give when I was learning how, the more you freak out, the quicker you're going to drown. Okay, like we've got to calm down in the water. You're in deep water right now. You got to learn how to calm down and stop being emotional. You got to detach from your emotions on how upset you are and understand that's not going to be productive. Not only is it not productive, now you're burning bridges because people that I don't need this. This is for you. And I love paying it forward to anyone, whether they're on the team or not, man. I'm a Care Bear.
Yeah.
But what I do expect is that you have your own self-respect and your own integrity, that you're going to go apply that, and you're going to be appreciative for what people give you by showing how hard you work for it. But if you're going to come into my office and tell me exactly how it is, and I'm like, oh, you're teaching me today. Well, I don't need that. I don't need it. And then if I got to like meet your level of voice to get your attention, and now we're having this, no, like, look, you're burning a bridge. Listen to me. Yeah. I have to provide for my family. I have to procure my own deals. And I got a team that's reliant upon me to be present and energetic and do my part as a leader because they signed up for this team. They didn't go anywhere else around this team. If that's how that is, I got no space for you.
Yeah.
Done.
Yep.
Cool. Apology or not, done.
Yep.
That bridge is burnt. And then maybe your lesson learned is, well, I shouldn't do that again, because if I want good people around me that are going to help, and I got to be resourceful, and I realize I can't just tackle business by myself. I can't do anything alone. I'm going to need resources and help to just get things done. You better understand how to manage your emotions. So yeah, it sucks when you got to be a lesson learned. I hate being a lesson learned, especially with adults, because if I have to remind an adult how to act, it's weird. It's just weird to me. Learn how to behave yourself. And that doesn't mean that you can't get emotional. I'm emotional right now. I'm giving an emotional response on purpose to paint a picture. I get emotional with our team sometimes, right? Hey, sometimes I feel like I want it more than you do. I'm going to give you some emotions because you know that I care. I am not going to fly off the handle. I'm not going to challenge. I'm not going to belittle, but I'm going to be confrontational in a productive manner to challenge you on your own perspectives and what you're actually doing.
Yeah, because that's needed.
But I also understand the theater of what we're in.
Yeah.
And I also understand as a leader, if someone on the team, dude, I've had calls from the team where they just want to vent.
Yeah.
Guess what? I shut my mouth because you just told me, okay, can I vent? Like I'm about to kill people. Can I vent? You know what you just told me? I'm not trying to learn. I'm in no place where I'm going to retain any knowledge. I got to get this off my chest before I can be a sponge.
Yep.
So then now, because you articulate that to me, it's just on me of whether I'm okay to listen and to let you vent. And hey, I super am. And I really appreciate you having the self-awareness to know I'm in no place to learn right now. I'm freaking the fuck out. I got to get a grip. And the only way I know how to get a grip is to, get this off my chest. I'm the same way. But you just got to make that clear, because if you're coming into someone's office for learning and I need to get things going, and they're prepared to teach you, but because you came in and you came in that wrong light, They're telling you to get out because they have no time for you.
Yep. And that's a slippery slope, guys, because talking about your problems, just falling down into that trap and that abbess of just, oh, this problem. Man, if I made a list of all my problems right now, it would be
a long podcast.
That's a long list.
What
Will's getting at is, okay, what are the bullet points? What are the issues? Let's address them. Hey, if you need to vent, right? But if we're trying to learn and now we're in that stage, what are the things? Give me your problems. Let's find solutions and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and here's what's super uncomfortable.
Take action.
Here's what's super uncomfortable for a lot of people. When you're an entrepreneur or when you're attacking business or whatever you're doing, you can't blame anyone. When you have a boss, blame.
I love that.
Blame. When you have a wife or a husband or a baby mama or a baby daddy, blame. Not accusing anyone, but that's common. We tend to point fingers as humans, right? Here's the deal. The first time you're ever dealing with having to blame yourself and swallow your own shit might be entrepreneurship, might be this business growth. And here's the problem. If that's the first time you're taking it on the chin, no wonder why you're acting out in offices. No wonder why you're freaking out and you're a bull in a china shop and everything in your path is getting it taken out on, but you're not going to fix anything. So in addition to being resourceful, okay, so we're getting long-winded, but I want to keep us on track, right? We talked about observing before action. We're still talking about being resourceful. So in conjunction with being resourceful, you've got to be coachable. When you're being resourceful and you find a couple really solid resources that are there to help you, I don't care if they're nice to you. I don't care if they say fuck or shit. I don't care if they are the complete opposite of that and they speak super monotone and super polite and it's almost numbing. They talk so slow. Whatever it is, you got to find a way to be coachable to that person. It is not that person's responsibility to orient themselves to you.
No.
Okay? Like we have a team. I orient myself to the team in this manner. Growing as relationships. I'm not going to change who I am for them, but I am going to get to know them better so we all work better together. Like a football team, okay? If I'm Peyton Manning, like, look, Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning. He's going to throw the ball. He's not Michael Vick. He comes to Denver for the quarterback, and they build a team around him. Cool. He's not going to change his approach on how he's a quarterback. He's not Michael Vick. He's not going to run a 4-second flat 40. He's going to sit in the pocket and throw the football, and he's going to call audibles and use his brain because he doesn't have legs. But he's still going to communicate with Demaryius Thomas and communicate with receivers so they work better together. So it's a leader's responsibility to make sure that he's working better together with people who he's leading in order to make sure everything is smooth. But it's not changing who you are. It's just adapting and communicating and growing together as a team until the point where you become cohesive. Okay, but as a leader, if you're leaders out there, you should not be changing yourself because if you're trying to change who you are, now you don't have your judgment. Now you don't have your gut feelings because you're too busy trying to fit around other people's ways of delivery or style. In addition to that, as a leader, I'm not going to teach you something I don't know. If you want to go call leads as a realtor, I'm not your guy. We don't do that. And I got to have integrity as a leader to say that, hey, I'm not your guy. I don't do that. Here's the 5 or 6 things that we do to build a business, and we are phenomenal at it, in my opinion. I'm going to teach you that. And if that's not for you, cool. But I'm not going to go learn something else or try to learn something else out of my scope to then adhere to you. No. Right? So again, like leaders that are out there, yes, you do have to communicate. You do have to get to know your people at a high level in order to become cohesive. But that's not changing who you are. Okay. And then those people that are choosing to be on your team, they've also got to communicate and grow with you so everyone communicates better and we all become cohesive. But if you're not on someone's team and you're not attached to them, and this is completely extracurricular activity, and they're giving you their time, please take it.
Yes.
In whatever form or fashion that comes in, you better be a sponge because they're literally going out of their way to help you. This is where, like, no, we are not a cohesive unit. I'm not overly communicating with you. You're not going to over communicate with me. Like, we're not going to have that relationship. You're not even on the team. I'm literally giving you extra time, taking it away from others to do all I can to help you. Take what you get. And as a person that's asking for that leadership or that person that's asking for that mentorship, you are definitely responsible for taking all of it in the best that you can and not being hypersensitive to whether someone says shit or not.
Yeah.
Or understand when you come into an office and you're bringing that type of emotion or that mood in, understanding you're burning bridges. Again, you're not on my team. I'm not committed to you. Right? So there's a difference, leaders, there's a difference, people that are getting led or people that are getting mentored. There's a difference. One, leaders, you don't ever change yourself. You got to lead in whatever you're a subject matter expert on and stick within that lane. Are you going to change a little bit with communication levels and understanding your team better? Of course.
And that's probably a natural improvement over time.
It's just, dude, it's a relationship.
Just like you're going to get better at anything.
Bro, Kate and I, do we communicate better? Does she know how fickle I am? Yeah. Naturally, because we're around each other so much. So again, it's not that I'm changing who I am as a leader with our team. It's that we're all learning each other's little quirks and we're evolving. But when you know that you don't have that relationship with someone, and it's never going to be that relationship because you never have that type of time spent in order to be cohesive, you're literally just trying to get as much time from that person as you can, and it's extra outside of their scope from what they're all of their other responsibilities, and they don't need that. They're giving you a favor. I'm begging you to fucking take it. When you're being resourceful, you super need to be coachable, big time, and focus more on the content they're giving you, not the language that they're speaking to you.
Yes.
Okay. And then ultimately, if it's not for you, don't ask anyone to tone it down if you're the one that brought it there.
Leave.
But if nothing happened, if nothing bad happens, but because someone says shit or because someone is like super monotone, right? Like the Clear Eyes commercial. For dry red eyes. Dude, there's people like that. Ask Eli when you're learning stuff about software on YouTube. Okay, like it's dry. Here's the deal. There doesn't always have to be conflict for you to leave. So if I ask someone to help me and they're going out of their way to help me, when they help me, I'm going to sit there and do all I can to soak it in. Yeah. And if the way that they teach or the way that they explain just isn't for me, I just won't ask for it again. But what you shouldn't do is become entitled or bring your ego along with you and burn a bridge to where if someone ever needs a recommendation or if they ever hear your name out there again, they're calling you a nightmare, right? Because you're putting yourself above everyone else and your emotions above everyone else, and you're treating people like crap. That's going to get you killed in business. Business is big and it's small at the same time. And if that's how you treat people when you're emotional and you can't handle yourself as a professional, it's a small world and people are going to find out. So again, you know, as seeking mentorship, understand the difference between joining a team or joining a company or whatever it is, and having that time and understanding how everyone has to grow together and understanding when someone's doing you a huge favor by giving you their time. Right. Please shut your mouth, take it all in and listen and be as resourceful as possible. So now we're going to move on. I'm beating a dead horse, but man, I couldn't be more serious about that. Eli and I have we've grown a business off of our word. Some of the people that have helped us, it's literally been, that guy's good to his word. And he says, Fat is in this damn room because of our relationship and being good to our word. I can't express how important it is to not burn bridges because you get emotional. I can't express to you how important it is not to do that. Go sit in your car and bite the damn steering wheel and break your windshield and light your car on fire and drive it off a cliff before you start burning relationships because you're emotional. There's not much that's worse than that. That's detrimental to your business. So I hope I'm clear on that. Moving forward, we've got observing and all that good stuff. We've got, be resourceful. Once you're resourceful and you find some good resources, be coachable. And then moving forward, you've got what?
Take action.
And funny you say that because I wrote execute.
Take action.
I like
Start doing shit.
Let's hear it.
Start doing shit. So with this one, this is where I love taking action. I'm what I think one of the rare breed of, I like researching. I like, figuring shit out. I like finding out how things work behind the scenes. But then the second I have just a little bit of knowledge, I'm taking action and I'm starting to execute because I'm also ADD and impatient. So I want to say, hey, the shit that I learned, does this work? I want to get it into play. There's a very fine line, and you hear this a lot in this industry or this field, paralysis by analysis, of people that just get too caught up in the research, too caught up in trying to come out with the perfect product, that when they launch that perfect product, guess what? The market hates it, and you just spent the last 3 years researching some bullshit that no one wants. I have a little rule for myself, and I'm taking something on or getting into a new business, a new industry. I'm learning just enough to be able to carry a conversation with someone else in the industry. Just enough. Once I feel like I can confidently carry a conversation about a topic or an industry, now I'm starting to do shit, right? Now I'm starting to do things and take action because now I know I won't sound like an idiot, but I'm going to learn a lot more by doing things than just by reading about it more.
100%. And regardless of national data, regardless of your mentors or your leaders or Colorado data, you need your own personal data as far as like, hey, that works for everyone else, but like, does that work in my world? Am I good at that? Does my sphere respond to that, right? Like you got to get
my personality.
Yeah, so it's okay to take national data. It's okay to take advice and try things. But most importantly, as you're trying things, what you should be paying attention to is like, hey, does that work in my market? Okay, like, or does it not? You know, so to be specific, when we talk about taking action, all right, Colorado, not as seller friendly, still seller friendly nationwide. Let's not get fucking crazy here. But not as seller friendly as it was last spring. Agreed?
Agreed.
Cool. Oh, man, it's okay. So buyers have a ton of options right now. Yeah, there's a lot on the market. There's a lot for sale. There was more for sale in 2019 in the first quarter than like all of 2020.
Yep.
Okay.
Or 2018.
Of 2018, give or take. So now that, you know, people freaked out like when the economy was so good, appreciation was so high, people weren't selling. They're like, I'm not selling. My house is up 16% appreciation. Nope, not selling. So there was only one house on the market last year. So what happens? Buyers are throwing all kinds of stupid money at it and appraisal gaps just to get it. Well, then buyers got tired and they went away. And then all these sellers are like, oh, crap, the market's crashing. No, people just got mad. They're not throwing money at it, so the market stabilized. So what happened? First quarter of this year, all these houses start coming on the market because people are like, oh, crap, we got to sell now. Not necessarily, but they're doing it. Bottom line is there's a ton on the market right now, and buyers have a lot of options, which means what? Sellers are giving concessions. They're fixing everything that they should be fixing on inspections because if they don't, then a buyer's just going to buy one of the other 19 houses for sale in the neighborhood.
Yep.
Okay, so what does that mean? Oh, it's buyer. Okay, so what do you talk about? Ebb and flows of marketing, paying attention as an entrepreneur. What should you be doing right now? Putting buyers in seats in education. So, right? So what do we teach some of our team? What do we do for ourselves? Well, we create home buyer classes. I'm not going to try to change the market. I don't dictate market. There's an ebb and flow to it. And if there's a lot of opportunity for buyers right now, we've had buyers get $1,000 back at closing. We've had buyers from people from our team get $3,500 back. They got paid $3,500 at closing on their new home. That means there's concessions involved. That means things on inspection are getting taken care of. So why aren't we educating buyers? Right. Hey, I don't have that much money. Like I probably have barely enough for concessions or for closing costs. Like, you know, hey, we're just a middle-class family that doesn't have much. This is phenomenal for you right now. So again, being crafty when Eli talks about like going out and taking action. So what do? Well, there's all this information. There's all these things that we could be talking to buyers. So we get on social media and we start talking to buyers. Hey, are you a buyer? Are you curious about being a buyer? Hey, A, B, and C are new this year. And here's what's going on. And we just had a buyer get $3,000 back. We had another buyer get $1,000 back. Here's why that's happening. Not that it's bad to be a seller. If you're going to sell right now, here's how to prepare to sell. Here's how to be better than everyone else in your neighborhood. So if you are selling, you sell, right? But hey, on the buy side, here's what's great for you. And then what do? We created a buyer class. We got asses in seats, and we taught people. And then we taught our team how to do that. And we gave them the content to go do that. Now we have people on our team teaching classes, and they're putting 17 people in seats. The first class they ever do it. So when we talk about taking action, like, well, what do you guys mean take action? Analyze your market. What is your market saying to you? And what are you saying to yourself?
That goes back to the fundamentals.
Yes.
Observe, be resourceful, take
Yes.
action. That cycle
So
continues
taking action is like,
through
hey,
everything.
hey, what's important for a buyer? These 10 things. Cool. So create content around those 10 things that are important to buyers, and then get on social media and talk about it and say, by the way, I'm going to do a class in 2 weeks on this date here. If you got questions, DM me. If you got questions or you're interested, comment below. It's working. Buyers want education. It's free. You're not hooking them. You're not putting their email into some weird spam system to send them a bunch of bullshit out here. No. Hey, I want you to come, have a bagel, and then let me teach you. And whether it's now or a year from now, you're prepared. Like you understand what it means to be a buyer. You know how to approach it. And by the way, if you are a little strapped for cash, this might be a great time for you to buy. Let's talk. And it's working. So again, I wanted to give like a specific example of just one thing that we're doing that's taking action.
Let's keep rolling with that.
Okay.
So are we going to put together that class and only do that and only hope that we get buyers out of that?
No, that's one layer to that onion.
Just one little layer.
That's one layer. Then there's also content that we create for sellers. There's also things that we do with follow-up, right? With our present and past clients.
There's events, there's open
And then
houses.
scaling the team.
There's
Do Eli and I just keep that class to ourselves? No, we teach the team how to teach that class. Then our team goes and teaches that class, and now we're scaling that thing as well. So I know you want to get into that. I know we're already long-winded, and that's my fault. We're already at like an hour for the podcast, but I want to keep rolling here. But that's something that's super crucial for you is one, even when you're doing one thing, let's make sure this is twofold here. this is binary per se, right? You've got that one thing, a home buyer class or an open house. Hey, that's just one thing. Yep. Even though it's one thing, you can't just do it one time. Like that should be, hey, you know what? It's heavy. Like it's a good to be a buyer. And look, even when last spring, it wasn't bad to be a buyer for Colorado. It was just worse than normal. It was more competitive. So regardless of time of season, like there's still benefits, whether it's this fall or next spring, there's going to be benefits to being a buyer and benefits to being a seller, regardless of what market it is. Like we're never that far off in Colorado. We've got a good economy here, right? So there's always something to teach, which means, hey, this Colorado home buyer class, this is one thing. Yes. But that one thing needs to be drawn out for a year. Because as you do it consistently once a month for an entire year, you're going to refine that class and you're going to get a ton of questions from the crowd. And as you get more questions from the crowd, you're going to be able to put that information into the presentation. So you're answering those questions in order for people to ask new questions because you're already answering the common ones. And your class is constantly evolving and you're following up and keeping in touch with people from those classes.
Yes, sir.
So even though it's one thing, that one thing needs to be all year long, period, in order for you to have enough data of whether it's working and not working and what's not working about it, how can I make it better, what is working about it, how can I make it
Constant
better, and
refinement.
Numbers. How much have I converted in the last year? Because people don't buy houses like they buy shoes, okay? You need a year because some people that are super serious, look, they might be 6 months out because they got some credit repair, or they got some whatever they're doing, or they might be 3 months out, or they might buy right away. You need a year to get yourself data, because when you're looking at, hey, what could be better? What could, hey, what I do great? What could be better? And you're analyzing all of that stuff to recraft and refine that class. Hey, is it converting? Oh, I did 7 deals this year out of that class. Is that worth it? Well, what's your average commission? 10 grand, right? That's safe to say. 10, it's probably higher than 10 grand for a broker. Okay. Like ours are a lot higher than that. Okay. So you made $70,000 off of teaching a free class that cost you like no money other than bagels, but you posted that on your social media for free to your sphere. Yeah. So you made 70 grand off of bagels and just giving people real content. But again, you got to go for a year in order to have real data to go, how am I converting? Or nope, I got none. I hope not, because if you got none, you weren't reaching out and being resourceful to having people like for you and I. We go and help teach that class. When we have people on our team teaching that class, we're not going to let you teach that class for a year by yourself and come back with a goose egg. No, like as leaders, we're going to help you refine and just have more direction and coach feedback. You through that so you are converting. Right?
And so you get better too. Like, again, that's one thing. Like for me, I'm like my wife, Megan, she's a natural athlete, right? She'll pick up a bat and she can crush a ball. She'll go and I forgot where she was at. She had a video on vacation somewhere and there's a little floating putting green. Grabs a little chipping thing, boom, chips it in the hole, right? On a floating island. Not me. I've gotten really good at I know that I'm going to suck at things until I'm better at them. Yeah. I just get that. So I'm okay sucking at things because I'm like, all right, cool, let's keep doing it. I'll get better.
And I was great at a lot of stuff, right? However, guess what? When you go to the Marine Corps, they're going to find a way to make you suck. Yeah. That means if you're good at something and you're hitting it 10 times out of 10, like for example, in boot camp, if you're, we have like competitions with other squads and you got to murder them, right? So we have competitions of grappling and one of the funnest one is pugil sticks. You're carrying that big old thing.
Oh, like the gladiator thing?
Yep. Yeah. And you're on one side and someone's on the other and you're running into this like tunnel and you're there to smack somebody up. And I was athletic. I was a good sized boy. I was 205 going in. Like I smacked a lot of dudes up. Guess what happened to me and like 2 other guys when we went for like the finals round? Fucking 4 drill instructors were in there and they beat the fuck out of you.
That's awesome.
Because guess what? No matter how good you are, you still need to feel what it feels like to have the shit beat out of you. And here's why. Because if they just let you be great beating up other recruits, okay? What happens when you go to combat and you're pinned? And the first time you've ever had adversity is when you're pinned down, getting shot at in combat, you're going to get guys killed. Yep. You're not prepared. So no matter how great, and Marine Corps is competitive. If you're, with our platoon, we won the physical competitions. We got rewarded. We got candy in boot camp for that one night, okay? They're super proud of you. Yeah. But before you leave that day, hey, final round. Hey, Grimes, get your ass in that line. Hey, so-and-so, so-and-so. You're like, yeah, cool. Like, who we going up against? Dude, If you run in there and you're fucking ready to go and like, we're pumped, we're winning for our platoon, and you get mollywopped.
Yeah.
Fucked.
That's funny.
You get the shit beat out of you worse than you ever beat someone up that day. 4 of them. And they love beating the shit, but they also understand, look, we can't let you win. You got to know what it feels like to get beat down. And dude, if you don't try to get up, they keep beating you. Like, you got to get up and you got to finish strong and you got to hit some of those guys back and then they're going to stop. But you got to get up after they knock you down and they start beating the crap out of you. They're screaming at you to get up. You got to get up and fight your way through 4 of those dudes.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah,
But again,
that's cool.
they understand. Like, dude, I went to the Marine Corps, end of 0405. Like, dude, the war was heavy. They know these guys are going to get in it. You're going to get in the shit. We can't just let you be good. We got to like make you feel this, because if the first time you feel adversity is when you're leading Marines in a combat, you're going to die or you're going to get somebody else killed. Bottom line. So to correlate to you, like, I got that fed to me.
Well,
I've had that adversity. I've been slammed on my back. You know what I mean? Like, I felt that.
And that's something that I think that's a universal law to where, at least in my experience and other people that I've talked to, it seems like there's this universal law to where when you're taking something on, you get this little bit of initial success. Maybe, okay, if we're using real estate as an example, oh, cool, my aunt happens to need to sell her house the month I got my license. Great.
Shit.
The universe is going to give you this little bit just to get you rolling. Hey, here's a little something. But then what happens real freaking quick is you hit this deep pit where shit just goes wrong.
My worst fear sometimes for agents is, and we don't have any on the team. I'm not speaking to any, and I very rarely use the team for specifics, because if they listen, they probably don't. They hate talking. I talk enough to them, but very rarely are they the specifics for me. But I do know agents that, like, they had some family friends and they did 6-7 deals in 3 months, their first year, and they're crushing.
Happens a lot.
Guess what? You did no follow-up. You didn't learn how to procure a buyer. Like, you're getting some money in the bank and you're rolling, and all of a sudden when those people are done buying, they go dry for a year and a half because they never learned how to actually procure sellers and buyers.
A lot of businesses go through that, and that's the universe saying, "Hey, I gave you a little taste, but now this is really what it's going to take. So do you have what it takes to climb back out?"
This is great for business. So if you're out there growing a business, understand someone that, like, oh, well, they got 3 deals because they got family members. My family sucks. No, understand what the universe is giving them might be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay, it might not be good. So this is why comparing yourself to other people's situations versus focusing on removing your emotions from a process. I'm not saying don't get emotional about your goals. Get jazzed up and get emotional about your goals. Don't get emotional about the process, and don't get emotional when comparing yourself to other people's situations, because again, what you think might be good because they're putting a little bit of money in their bank and getting a couple deals, it might be hindering them from actually learning. And then that's going to hit them in the face 6 months from now. And what they're getting is an actual nightmare. You, that's getting no deals, that has no friends or no family, that's having to earn every single inch. You're going to be super proficient if you stick it out. So again, everyone, and just because you get deals early on doesn't mean you're going to shit the bed. I'm not saying that either. It's what you do with it that makes you something. But every situation is different. And depending on the perspective that you're looking at it, who knows? This is why you've got to stay in your realm and stay within your scope and remove the emotion away from it and really start being a tactician with the process. And again, observing and being resourceful. And once you're resourceful, being coachable and taking all that you can. And if you can't take anything from that, or if you can take a ton but you can't apply it, or you just don't agree with what they say, you got go back to being resourceful. Okay, go back to being resourceful and go somewhere else and continue to do that until you find yourself into a good place where you feel like these people can help you execute and help you scale. Not your best friends, not patting you on the ass every day, telling you what you want to hear, giving you valuable content that allows you to scale and become better. Because guess what? The better you get, I bet the more they tell you what you want to hear. And the better you get, I bet the better you communicate with that leader. Young Marines that I was in charge with have a completely different relationship with me 2-3 years in. Bottom line. Okay. Because like they've earned that. Like they've got to go through a certain amount. It wasn't that I was never the leader to be a jerk and just hazing Marines for the sake of hazing them. Not my style. But I wasn't your homie yet either. Like you got a lot to learn.
Right.
And my job is to make you proficient. My job is to tell you things whether you want to hear it or not and make sure that you're extremely proficient. And my job is to protect you from yourself when you want to coddle yourself or be lazy or point a finger and have excuses. Hey, all good. I love you. But my job is to save you from yourself at that moment and not allow you to be emotional when it's not needed, and to tell you the things that you need to hear until you become a professional and a subject matter expert at what you're doing. And the more you graduate into that, the less leaders have to give you that. Now, as you graduate and you become a professional, well, now we're leading you as a professional, not someone that's new. It's not the same thing. And parents out there, your kid who's 6 or 5 years old, and when they're 30 years old, I hope it's a different relationship. How my parents treat me at 34 compared to how they treated me at 13, it's way different. I feel more of a friendship with my parents than parenting. That means they did a good job.
Yeah.
If they're still parenting me at 34, there's a fucking problem with one.
True.
It's either the parents or me or both, or who knows. I don't want to get into that whole debacle.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is leadership and mentorship is the same thing. And when you're super new, yes, I'm saving you from yourself. Yes, you're going to stick your keys in the outlet. Yes, you're going to bite your own finger off. You're new, and we expect that. But I've got to save you from yourself, and I've got to say things that you don't necessarily want to hear, but I'm here to scale you and make you better. And as you grow and as you mature, our relationship starts to grow and mature as well. So please understand, when you're looking for leaders or mentors and being resourceful and being coachable, understand the responsibility from your side of what it takes to be coachable and to absorb and to just trust your leadership that they're giving you what you need, not necessarily what you want. They're different things. And then a big thing for me, and I know we're going to probably cap this thing up, reflection. After action reports every week.
Take separate notes, but they end up being the same. We got track results, make adjustments.
There you go, reflection. And I'm big on that. So whether it's that week at the macro level, micro level, and then every quarter, and then every year, reflecting what's working, what's not working. And there's a huge thing about failure now, right? On YouTube and all these motivational videos, like fail, and then learn. Okay, so I think people are getting that. But what we're missing is when you do something that works, you high five it, you're excited. Hey, did you also run an after action report in your head or on paper on what worked?
How did that work?
Or are we just focusing on what
Why
didn't
did that
work?
Yeah.
Because focusing on what doesn't work is kind of like a process of elimination. But when something works, why? Yeah, why? And why? Because we can also create patterns around success, just like you can avoid patterns with failure. You avoid patterns with failure. You can create patterns with success. But if you don't ever track, if you're not tracking what's successful, you're not going to create a pattern around it.
Yes.
That's my final thought for the day on that piece is making sure that regardless of everything else that we talked about, as you become more successful and you're getting these first couple bullet points, reflection.
The 4 steps here, guys, and this is a cycle. This is not a step 1, 2, 3, 4, you're good. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, repeat, rinse and repeat, because you're going to need to go through this with every phase of your business and just in general. Step 1, observe your surroundings. Observe people that are doing what you want to do. Observe what's going on and where you're at. Be resourceful and be coachable. If you're reaching out to people to take their time and ask for advice, shut the hell up and listen to what they have to say. Take action and then track your results, make adjustments. And you said reflect. Yes.
And my biggest thing on reflection, the reason why I still like to keep that word, like I love what you're saying. And what I love about reflection, though, too, is it's also self-reflection. Who am I? Who am I growing into? Do I like myself? Because success is dangerous. Am I getting successful in the right way? Am I stepping on people? Am I taking people's money? Am I lying to get it? These are extreme. I know they're extreme. I'm doing that on purpose to just get your thoughts. But at the end of these reflections, at the end of a year, at the end of a quarter, whatever it may be, like you do need some time to go, hey, regardless of all the growth or lack thereof, am I headed in the right direction? And am I happy with who I am? Right? Versus like yours. And this is like you and I, dude, because you're very analytical and you're fucking good at it. And like I get all hippie. Right? I get all hippie of like, hey, beyond all of that, you still got to measure yourself as a person and making sure that like whatever direction I'm going, no matter how successful it is, am I happy? Or, hey, I'm not as successful as I want to be, but am I in the right direction and am I happy with my process?
Yes.
And if your answers are yes, good, but you've got to take time to reflect on that to make sure that you keep yourself within that scope. And with that being said, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, guys.
Happy Friday.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Yes, we will. Always biased. We always think we have a great topic. Today was super close to home, super valuable. Hope you guys took that all in.
See you on Monday.
See you on Monday.
All right. Later, guys.
Out.